Welcome to the Shortwave Radio channel, and this is once again another video in my series of checking the Shortwave Spectrum megahertz by megahertz, and boy, there's a lot of signals here, as you can see. So what we are looking at now is the medium wave band, which is below shortwave, above the long wave band. This is 1 to 2 megahertz. What is there to listen to between 1 and 2 megahertz? Well, you won't be surprised to know that a big chunk of the spectrum is used by the AM radio stations or medium wave. So when you listen to AM radio, it's in there. So what you're listening now, for example, and I'll put the volume a little higher.
And the pitching coach Paul Menhardt's going to
this is WFED in Washington, D.C. with sports. So, of course, starting at 1,000 kilohertz or 1 megahertz and all the way up to 1,700 kilohertz, 1710, I believe. It's the medium wave band. Now, one part of that medium wave band isn't expanded in some areas of the world. So here in North America, it goes up to 1710. In Europe, it actually goes, I believe, up to 1600 or something like that. And it doesn't really go much higher than 1600. Once again, remember that Europe has a different band plan. It's 9 kilohertz spaced, so sometimes you might see stations, because you can notice they're kind of off frequency compared to North American stations that are at every 10 kilohertz. So what you're listening here is, of course, my packed evening medium wave band. So 1500, which is WFED Washington. What stations I can put in here? 1010, usually, which is Toronto, CFRB. And here I actually hear 2 stations right now.
Most people feeling we're getting quite a bang for their buck. But last night, residents in
So there's 1010 CFRB, and there's another one not sure. I think it's, and let me just check it out quickly to make sure I won't say anything. 1010 is also home to WINS station out of New York City. Well, it's actually depending, probably if I move my loop antenna, I would be able to zoom in onto CFRB Toronto or WINS in New York. Another station that I can note here is 1030 WBZ in Boston.
Clear, cooler tomorrow night. Low of 58 downtown, 52 in some suburbs. And then sunny and nice on Wednesday with a high 73. Thursday, warmer again, partly sunny, breezy, high 82. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Dave Bowers, WQBZ, Boston's News Radio. Mostly cloudy, 79 in Boston.
Hey, it's Adam Kaufman.
1130,
Wagner telling us the
Bloomberg station in New York.
To let people control a digital avatar using only their thoughts.
You wear this bracelet on your wrist that actually, detects the neurons in your body, which are...
1690 is a mixed mash of stuff, but here it's also home to Montreal's, the last station on the AM dial here in Montreal, which is the Concordia University station. So there's a few things in there, of course. Now, what if we go higher than 1700 kilohertz? What's above that 1700 kilohertz? And we're going to zoom in to that range to see a little more here. So 1700 kilohertz is, and I'll put the filters here to help out with the signals. So above 1700 kilohertz, some parts of Europe have some navigation weather. There are some of these at different parts of that spectrum, and it is something that you can actually check out if you're in Europe. Here in North America, it's pretty empty. Can't say I've heard or seen much from about 1700 to 1800 kilohertz. One of the interesting things that you can note is that in the past, this band, the 1800, the 16 to 1800 kilohertz spectrum, was home to something that was kind of interesting, which was the first generation cordless telephones. They actually were there, so that's kind of interesting to note. And from 1800 all the way up to 2000 kilohertz, you have what is the 160 meters amateur radio band. So here you might hear some stations here. So for example, let's listen to an amateur station on 1930 lower sideband.
Well, I haven't heard a Kenwood commercial all night. I thought something must be wrong with you. I don't have to. All the guys realize by now that it's a great radio.
There's a gang, 1850 kilohertz. There's a gang that hangs there also that I hear chit chat all evening. So this is part of the amateur radio band, and it is this. I don't know if it's an. I think it's an interference from an AM station somewhere. So there's, of course, the band is divided into the lower part of 160 meters, starting at 1800 Morse code. A little bit up from there, you'll have some digital modes. So often you'll hear some digital stuff. For example, here, if we go on 1840 upper sideband, you'll see that there are some digital stuff happening in the bands here that you can listen to. FT8, GT65. Pretty much for the rest, when you go above 1840 kilohertz and up to 2000, for the most part, what you'll hear there is lower sideband amateur radio stations that are chit-chatting away at night, and that's pretty much what you have in that part of the spectrum. So if you enjoy my videos, please subscribe, and of course hope you enjoyed this megahertz by megahertz look at the shortwave and medium wave and long wave bands. If you enjoy our videos, please subscribe, give us thumbs up, and thank you for watching our videos.